What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Konami just won't stop releasing information tonight. We have 3 new Shaddoll cards that I haven't gotten to read yet that I'm going to go over with you guys. Some new reprints as well in the structure deck that seem very exciting and set a precedent moving forward that I'm excited for. But let's just go ahead and get into this. This looks like Kirkion is turned into a Shaddoll. So this is Shaddoll Caius. It's a level 2 light spellcaster flip effect monster, 900 attack, 100 defense, and you can only use one of this card's name's first or second effects per turn, and only once that turn. So you can't flip and get its graveyard send effect together. Pretty typical. Flip effect. You can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your hand in face up or face down defense position. So it's resources you already have. That doesn't seem like the best thing in the world, and you're doing a whole turn to get that payoff. Not for me. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send one Shaddoll monster from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, apply the following effect for the rest of this turn. All monsters you control gain attack and defense equal to the sent monster's original level times 100. So, probably not the biggest boost. You can trigger a stuck-in-hand Shaddoll Beast and get a draw. This card is definitely not doing it for me off the bat in terms of Shaddoll support. I know a lot of people were disappointed in the last support release. I was pretty excited for it. This is starting to get on the disappointing side for me. Now, we have a new waifu grill. Looks like the Ritual Beast Tamers, or Spiritual Beast Tamers, are joining the Shadolls. So we have ourselves Shaddoll Wendy, a level 3 Wind Psychic flip effect monster. And also thanks to Italian Yu-Gi-Oh! For being fast with these translations so I don't have to stay up and wait to go to sleep. Level 3 Wind Psychic flip effect monster, 1500 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use one of this card's name's first or second effects per turn, and only once that turn. Flip effect. You can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your deck in face up or face down defense position, except Shaddoll Wendy. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's how you do it. An okay attack, a decent typing, that's a different typing from Dark. You get win, as well as the ability to resource the deck for the flip effect. That's a payoff. The second effect is, if this card is sent to the graveyard for a card effect, you can special summon a Shaddoll monster from your deck in face down defense position except for Wendy. This is how you do it. This is how you make the new support good. This is how you give an introduction to a structure deck and start to bring an archetype that no longer is seeing play back. You give it the support from the ban list, you give it access to deck searching onto field. This is a really good tutor. Alright, let's see the final card. It's a trap, so I'm not holding my breath. At first I thought this was Phantasme, but it's the Kirkion, so let's get into it. This is Shaddoll Incarnation. A normal trap, you can only use one of this card's first or second effects per turn, and only once that turn. Target a Shaddoll monster in your graveyard, special summon it in face up or face down defense position. So kind of a special Call of the Haunted for this archetype. If they do a spell and trap destruction, obviously you can chain it, it's not a continuous. Second effect, you can banish this card and one Shaddoll card from your graveyard to activate one of these effects. So they both have to be in the graveyard. So this is a later plus on top of what you already got. Change one face down monster you control to face up defense position. Change one face up monster you control to face down defense position. So basically, this is helping you speed up your Shaddoll effects a little. It's like, hey, look, I've already got myself a 1-for-1 with a Reborn-like effect. Now, let's start flipping stuff, maybe even on their turn and getting our effects. Still, it's a trap card. Feels a little slow, man, but it does feel like it gives you some extra responses along with some defense. I don't know that they'll be running it. Let me know what you think of this. Is it enough? Is it not enough? But I have a real quick shout out before we get into those reprints that I think are pretty important. From Zero Damage Gaming, they've got a brand new Blue Eyes playmat, and I have a copy of it right here to show you guys. I know, very well dressed for the shout out. With code WhatsGood10 or Champs10, you can get yourself 10% off over there on the site, and this looks amazing. It's a little too blue because of my camera, I think. I don't know what you guys will be seeing. Besides that amazing artwork. They did a really good job. They have the cloth mat. Remember, their cloth mats are a little more rigid when we're looking at them. And I feel like since there's only one design, I would personally say to go for the White Dragon playmat, like the non-cloth version, because you're just getting a repetitive art I mean, you can give it to your opponent to share, but do remember these are a little more rigid than the typical cloth mat you might expect, and I personally just think the rubber is really nice for this release. That's what I would go with. Hey, Blue Eyes, look, I don't know which way to point. I'm on camera. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about some of the reprints that also have popped up on the Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG website. So we got these 3 cards, had to wait for them to get translated, and we see some nice ones, starting with Blackluster Soldier. So we're going to actually go ahead and transition to our Market Watch view here to talk about this one. I know, live editing done quick and cheap by John Moore. And we also see that Living Fossil gets one. Well, why is Living Fossil so important? Battles of Legends, first printing of cards, we historically have not seen really any reprints of, except for one of the Vision Heroes, I believe, Witch Raider, which got reprinted within Battles of Legend. Now, we've seen them reprint cards that were reprints, but Battles of Legend is also an import set, and we've highly wanted reprints of stuff like Cyber Emergency, other people wanting Double Evolution Pill, so I suggested this recently on Market Watch as a card unlikely to get reprinted that you might want to pick up sooner than later. Well, it turns out that within this structure deck, at least in the OCG, it's getting reprinted, and the TCG has been sticking very, very heavily to continuing with the OCG printings, so this has a lot of excitement for the potential of the future of Battles of Legend reprints. Blackluster Soldier, Shades of Billy Break, one of the, actually the first video on the channel, going back and looking in at how we had a mix of lights and darks in the Shaddoll deck that he played. Well, it gets a reprint, and that's kind of also awesome because the cheapest version of Blackluster Soldier is a common that there's only one for $3 before it's $4 and quickly rises out of a $30 structure deck. And these are reprints. These unlimiteds are actually equivalent on the market to where it was before. So people wanting to play GOAT format, this is still one of the more expensive commons. People wanting to actually try this out in their modern decks. It wasn't the easiest thing to get, and now we get it in a structure deck. I think this will be $1 out the gate as a reprint within the structure deck and go up over time to be back to $2 to $3. So it's some nice value back within the structure deck to see, and something that's definitely super welcome by me. I didn't even mean to rhyme there. But we see $8 for a lot of the other versions. It's gone back down slowly on market over time from where it was at. It got a lot of hype from a Burning Abyss deck a while back that happened to play a couple of these. You know, it did really well, though. And when I look through the rest of the reprints, I just hope, hey, those are actually really awesome. Can we talk about how we need some nice product from the OCG, please? Like, transition that on over to the TCG. I swear it will do really good on sales, Konami. But we see Sinister Shadow games as well, which is really funny because when we look at this, it got like the announcement of the structure deck over here and cards started to leak out. People actually bought this card out a little bit. You see very few quantities for this card on market, and people went for it. So this is one of those cards that kind of allows you, where the new trap is actually doing today, like, it let you try to play your flips on their turn and do certain stuff. Well, I didn't think this card would be going anywhere in the first place. It hardly did anything on the release of this deck, like people played it and then they eventually cut it from their decks. Yeah, so the ridiculousness of people being stuck with these with a reprint is really awesome to watch. It's kind of like that natural selection of the market. El Shaddoll Fusion being announced is really awesome. There's a ton of good stuff going on for this structure deck, and I'm really happy with how this turned up. Even though we've only got a couple of good cards out of the announce so far, I expect more new cards in the structure deck, more support that really starts to push it, and a tutor for anything from the deck that has nice artwork. I'm a big fan. I can say 8 out of 10 so far for it, and that's more than a passing grade for me. I'm pretty happy with where it's headed. But you Shaddoll fans, you might be harder to please. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel the Shaddoll support is shaping up so far as a structure deck. It's not Salomon great, amazing. It's not like Endymion tear up the meta yet, but it's heading somewhere that I like, and that's what's important. It's support that updates this deck that can bring it to topping regionals on top of, you know, the engine already being played in a lot of decks as is. I see this as being pretty good, but I want to hear your thoughts. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation, and if you're interested, remember, code WhatsGood10 on this Blue Eyes mat. Every single sale does get a little back to me whenever you make it, and get yourself that discount on this beautiful playmat. I'm really a fan of how they construct their mats, and that's on any mat on the site if you want to go back and peek some of their other ones. Summon Sorceress, you were gone too soon as an enabler. And the cute little gnome mat. They do some really classic designs that stick around Bunnin's neck. And there's Vanguard playmats too if you're interested. So that's on the entire site, 10% off, and I get a little bit for each mat that sells as well, to be completely transparent. I don't know. I hear so much complaining about this already, and like I hadn't gotten to read the effects till now. I'm thinking this turned out pretty good personally, but that's just my thoughts on it. I might be easier to please than you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody.